Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2020 Hispanic TV Summit. A year ago, I was standing up in front of 300 people at the Westin Hotel in New York City, introducing the 2019 Hispanic TV Summit. That day, I said that 2020 was going to be a really important year for the multicultural communities because two major events were taking place, the census and the presidential elections. Who would have thought that day that another event was actually going to impact our lives so much? Yes, I'm talking about working remotely for months. I'm talking about wearing a mask every time we leave our homes. I'm talking about cleaning with sanitizer every time we go grocery shopping. Clearly, COVID-19 has impacted our lives. However, violence, racism, and hate continue to impact not only our lives, but the society as a whole. Without a doubt, there are a lot of things that we need to do to evolve from where we are to where we should be. But at least a new reality is starting to emerge. A new reality where companies are starting to realize that they need to be more diverse, that they need to change their workforce, not just recognize it, actually do something about it. A new reality where marketers are finally understanding that one size does not fit all. This is not just about driving efficiencies. It's about being effective. A new reality where consumers have demonstrated that endemic media plays a unique role and cannot be replaced because multicultural consumers want to read, hear, and watch content that is created by their communities for their communities. I'm going to be very honest with you today. When COVID-19 started, I was extremely afraid of what was going to happen. As we all know, when something goes wrong, the first thing that is being cut are the multicultural budgets. And I really thought this was going to be, again, the same story. Granted, when COVID-19 started, many companies literally cut their budgets. Now, they cut all of them. They did not cut just multicultural. They cut every budget they had, or at least they began rethinking in how to spend those budgets. And that, as weird as it sounds, it was really a good sign for me. I'm sure many of you are wondering how something negative could be a good sign. So let me explain. I said earlier that companies finally realized that they need to be more diverse. We all know that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not the same as multicultural marketing. However, companies that do not have the right representation in their workforce cannot even understand why multicultural marketing is important. The fact that most companies are actually caring in having that representation within their staff, it's a really good sign because diverse voices bring a different perspective. And that perspective has an influence in the corporate ecosystem, which eventually will show companies the value that multicultural consumers represent. I also said that marketers are finally understanding that one size does not fit all and that driving efficiencies is not enough. You also need to drive effectiveness. And effectiveness can only be achieved by being relevant and authentic, period. There's no way around. And if you thought that total market was going to be the solution, well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of the bad news, but total market is dead. Yes, let's be honest. There are similarities within the different consumers, but there are also nuances. And if you do not address those nuances, all you're doing is reaching eyeballs. You're not building relationships. You're not engaging. You're not connecting with the hearts and souls of those consumers. I can guarantee that there's at least one brand in your category that has already gone ahead, that is being authentic, that is being relevant, that is already engaging the multicultural consumer. Yep, you've heard that right. The clock has ticked already. The topic of this year's summit is where Latino voices matter most. I said earlier that multicultural consumers have demonstrated that endemic media plays a unique role and cannot be replaced. Now, let me give you my personal definition of endemic media, because people kind of understand that in different ways. Endemic media are those publishers that create, curate, and distribute content created by members of the community for that community. So why Latino voices matter? Because during COVID-19, it was proven that Hispanic consumers prefer to read, hear, and watch content that was being created by the community just for them. It goes back to what I said before about being relevant and being authentic. No one can be more relevant and more authentic than someone that represents the community. There's a level of influence and trust that cannot be replaced. And our Hispanic media partners have clearly demonstrated that nobody like them can cover what is happening in our country from that unique perspective. I closed my last year's remarks saying that multicultural marketing, Hispanic specifically, was not an option anymore. It was a business imperative. Today, knowing what the world is going through, if a company truly believes in diversity, equity, and inclusion, it should be an obligation to have a multicultural strategy. Thank you so much, and welcome to the summit.